I'll just hit record. Somebody has to remind me to turn it off. Okay, so this is just some background on Custom Collection Toolkit. So what does it do that customers are really interested in? And I'm going to differentiate here between standard subject collections and custom collections. And so the standard subject collections in general come in to HighWire tagged in the content. And mostly publishers have taxonomies, and there are these hierarchies of subject headings that they have, and they classify their content as it comes in, and they maintain these lists of hierarchy that's specific to each customer. And so those are the subject headings that you might see on their JCore site when they browse by subjects. But frequently, there are other reasons to collect content together, and they wouldn't come in tagged that way. So you might want to pivot your content around a conference or a meeting. You might want to create a collection around a particular author. A lot of the well-known scientific publications have authors that are highly recognized. They might get Nobel Prizes. They have all kinds of reasons that they might want to recognize an author or somebody who is really well-known in their field. The other thing they might want to collect around is a research area. And the reason they want to do these collections is to increase the discoverability of their content. So you might, as a researcher, know that in general, this publisher covers this content in a broad way, but you might not know that they had really good information on Zika or some on Ebola or some other disease that is important to your research. So the other thing that custom collections allows you to do is provide a really rapid response to trending news or current events. And so I use Zika as an example. Well, when this stuff happens, nobody's already tagged their content with it, and they haven't gone and already, changed their hierarchies to add subject headings for things that are happening in a day or two. But you can actually create a collection that fast with Custom Collection Toolkit. So it's important to them to show that they're on trend, they're on topic, that they've got information that's current and useful for things that are going on in the news. And then the other things that they can do to make this discoverable are assign keywords to those collections, because those keywords get indexed by search, and then as somebody is searching on that topic on their site, the collections will also show up at the very top of the search results and give more visibility to those collections. As you are probably aware, they also, when you create a collection, we generate an RSS feed, which you can push somewhere else. Some people push it to a mini site. PNAS pushes it to a mini site. As you can see, this is a little out of date. It says, Justin, you can push your collections into Stackly, which is no longer a product. But in any case, yes, sorry, Ollie. But you can push it wherever you want. And in each of the collections has a static URL, which means that publishers can drive traffic to that landing page. And they can do that with marketing, and they can do that with newsletters and other kinds of things. But that also helps make their collections and therefore their content more discoverable. So questions so far? Hopefully this is not news too much to any of you. Okay, so
can you generate a report, Alex, from this CCT?
You mean a report on collection usage?
Yes, that's what I meant, yeah.
No, and in fact, that is a requested feature. It's on our backlog, but at this point, you cannot do that.
Okay, thank you.
So a couple other things to mention, which is they have the ability to upload images to the collection and to write descriptions for the collection. And those descriptions can be either very short or very elaborate. And one of the things that we get frequent requests for, and we do not currently have a good way to address, is advertising on the landing pages. And that is something that we are looking at, but it's not something that is currently supported. So this is the old UI in CCT1. It's, you know, somewhat similar to CCT2, but we changed the UI and layout and color scheme with CCT2. But you still have a collection page where you can see all the collections that you have. And you had the ability to upload items into your collection using a CSV file. You still have that ability in CCT2, but in in CCT1, that was the only way you could get content into your collection. In CCT2, you can search, and I'll go through that in a little bit more in just a second. But one of the things that loading your items with a CSV allows you to do is retain the order in which the items were loaded. So this is the older CCT1 edit collection screen. There have been a couple of changes in CCT2, but it's very similar. And they had largely the same capabilities in terms of description, RSS feed, landing page, and so forth. This is an H2O landing page. And where the publisher has a landing page that has a spot for advertising, and you can see on this one in the lower right, that's the template they were using, then you can take advantage of it. Many publishers do not have that, and consequently can't take advantage of that space. So obviously clicking on one of the links takes you to the collection. And I was mentioning how it is retrieved in search, and you can see on this screen, the collection result is at the top of the search results. And this is true in H2O or JCore, when you have actually used a term that is the keyword for that collection. Okay, so I'm going to switch over now and talk a little more about CCT2. So bear with me just a second while I swap slide sets.
Hi, Alex. I'm not quite sure if you've seen it there, but Thomas just asking a question because his mic isn't working. Are any customers still using CCT1 at the moment?
They are. PNAS is still using it for sure. There are probably 4 or 5 others who are still using it. We are trying to get them all to migrate.
And this is part of that process, getting support, up to speed, trained.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ability to onboard, and then we can proceed to migrate customers over and then shut them down, CCT1 down.
Okay. So just come back. So now we're in CCT2, and you can see that the display for collections is a little bit different. And you have the edit, delete, copy, unpublish, date range, and so forth. And you have the ability to search for collections. You also have the ability to filter on published or unpublished collections. And it's an important question to ask when you're dealing with somebody and they're having problems with their collection, whether they've actually published the collection or not. Sometimes they think they have and they have not published it. And you can search by date range.
When the collection was first created, when you say search by date range, or is it searching at the articles?
No, it's searching the collection date.
Collection date.
Yes. Sorry, question from Joe on whether when you search for date, it has to do with the articles in the collection, and no, it's the collection itself. And then you can sort by recently updated or by A to Z. So slight change in the custom collection edit page. This is the define attribute page now. We added the ability to pick formats. We added the ability with CCT2 to determine update frequency. Sort by really is not very functional at this point. It's something where we have tickets on the backlog to change the sort. One thing to be aware of is if you upload with CSV, and you do that in order to maintain the order of your collection, and you then incorporate search into that collection, you lose that static order, and you will get a new order determined by your search results. So for anyone who's asking about maintaining the order of their results right now, they need to use the CSV. There's a new feature also that is not on this screenshot, which allows publishers to pick the collection or pick the journal for their collection and to associate that collection with a specific journal site. That is a new feature that came out after CCT2 went live. And what they will see there is a drop-down that allows them to pick the journal to associate the collection with. Articles, frequency. And then this is the biggest difference between CCT2 and CCT1, which is the ability to create dynamic collections using search. So if you're doing it by rules versus by upload, which is the CSV, you can pick the content type. If you already have tagged subject collections, this will show you those collections. There's a box there that says subjects. And you can choose to pick one of those and then additionally use search to refine that collection. And you can also restrict by publication date. And as you build your collection, the contents of your collection will be reflected on the right-hand side. So it'll show you the collection items generated by rules. It'll show you the collection items by upload. And you can choose to exclude items from your collection, and you can do that manually, and it will show you anything that you've excluded. So if you don't have existing subjects or you don't want to use them, you can do this entirely with search. So content type, subject, search. What I don't know if I'm showing on these screens is that in the conditional search box, you'll see that there is a drop-down under the exact match box. And that will show you the fields that you can use to restrict your keyword. And we have made some recent additions to those, including table of contents. So date range, and then you can go ahead and run the search. So in this example here, you can see what is filled out on the right-hand side. You've picked content type journal. You've used the subject collection asthma and allergy. And you can see at this point what is in that collection. And if you want to manually exclude, you can do that on the right-hand side. And in this example, you can see that some of these items have been excluded. So at the very top on the right, you see the items that are in there based on whatever rules you picked. At the very bottom, you can see the excluded collection items that were pulled out of the collection. So, questions so far?
Alex, Amir here. I just have a few questions. First, I want to know that can publisher pick and choose between how he upload the collection? Like sometimes he can use CSV and sometimes he can use search, or it has to be one method or another or the other?
No, they can use either, and they can use a combination.
And how would that affect the order of the collection if he mixed?
If you mix them, then the order of the collection will be whatever the default order is for the search piece of the collection. You will lose any ability you have to control the specific order.
Okay. The other question is about the upload frequency, daily, monthly, never. What's the purpose of that field? Just could you explain about it, please? Thank you.
Sure. So if you have items, let's go back to our Zika example, and you want to pull things as they hit the news, as they're updated, as new research comes out, you can pick an update frequency so that that search will get rerun. And as new items come in, they will be added to the collection. So it keeps your search updated, it keeps your collection updated and current. So if you had an author that was publishing new items and you updated it weekly, well, hardly anybody publishes weekly, but if they had a new item that was published, it would get added to the collection.
So it's for addition.
So the question here is, it's time-based? You said something like every Saturday, or?
Joe's asking if it's time-based. It's not that specific. It's just daily, weekly.
Okay.
But
it's not like it's a constant event-based where if you want author E. Johnson, whenever he publishes it's not tracking it to that level.
That's correct. So Joe was asking if it's tracked to the event level, so that if I said I want to know, like an alert, if this author publishes anything, does it get added to my collection? And the answer is no, not at this point. It's not that smart.
This is Sam here. I want to add to the reply to the question regarding the order of after the search. So if you do both CSV upload and rule-based search, the order of the CSV is maintained. They will always be at the top at in the order that same as the input file. Only the search result by the rule-based search are not, the order is not guaranteed. That's it.
Sam, are you sure about that?
Yes, we spent a lot of time doing that.
Okay, so that was based on the fix that you did. Okay.
So if I understand then, I've combined the two. The results I'll see is the CSV results sitting up top in the order of which they were loaded. And then below that would be the search results in a somewhat...
Yeah, so we had a reason I'm asking, and I didn't say that, is we had a recent fix because the order for CSVs was having an issue not being maintained correctly. But what I didn't realize was that Sam had also fixed the other problem, which was that when you combined them, the order was not maintained. So thank you, Sam.
Yeah, at least that's what I thought I fixed. So is there, you guys still see anything different?
Okay. Other questions?
Sorry, it's me again. One more question. I've seen in the difference between the subject collection and the new CCT 1 and 2, there is a lot of graphics and images. Would that affect the performance?
We haven't noticed that it has. I certainly have not seen any tickets from customers saying they've ever seen a performance difference there.
I have a case that customers said they cannot see some of their collection on Internet Explorer 11, and when I was trying it, it's a bit slow. I mean, if you don't patient, you think it will not appear. It takes a time to generate and pop up the collection. But I don't know about the others. I can't sure about the performance. It's just.
Well, if there is a performance issue, it may be for other reasons. But I don't know. Are you seeing it on all collections, just on a specific collection?
Neurology.
Right, but within neurology, are they seeing that problem on all of their collections or just specific collections?
Well, they sent three collections, so whenever I try them, it just take a while to upload and to show you the screen with all the collections. So it's just a bit slower than I thought than the new one. So I don't know.
Well, we can have somebody take a look at it. Are they very large collections?
Well, not sure. But I can send you the case number and you can have a look at it after the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions? Okay. So here's what CSV looks like in CCT2. So you can, as the question was asked, switch between the two or combine them. And it's the same process, drag the CSV on. And once it's uploaded, the collection by upload section will populate. And here is the collection page pre-publication. So you can see all the keywords associated with it, the landing page URL, the RSS feed, when it was created, what the status is, and the contents of the collection along with any graphics. And that's pretty much it in terms of just basics about CCT. Are there other questions about business reasons behind CCT or who uses it, why they use it? Anything along those lines?
could you give us a sense of adoption? So what do we have people using it, and I've kind of lost track of.
We actually do have pretty good adoption for CCT2. I think the last number I saw was 22 or 23. There are a couple in the pipeline at the moment, and then we have people who are in the process of converting from CCT1 to CCT2. So GSL either just did or is still in process. Royal Society is about to convert from CCT1 to CCT2. We'd really like PNAS to move, but they haven't yet. There's a lot of activity around it. And it probably will continue to gain traction. Our hope is in the next couple of months to move everybody all the way over from CCT1 to CCT2, and then we will turn off CCT1. So I hope to have it off by Q4 of this year, which will certainly simplify support for all of these things and make it easier for PS as well. And then we can focus more on features for CCT2.
Great. And this is a paid service, right?
Yes, it is definitely paid.
Yep. Great.
So in fact, Alex, a question on that. Am I right in thinking we're not really supporting anything in CCT1 anymore? If we were to get tickets in about it?
We are not. I mean, the answer to almost every CCT1 ticket will be moved to CCT2.
Right.
Would we make an exception for that for some reason? It's possible, but in general, the answer to anything will be move.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, and yeah, if we do get something in, then obviously we'll discuss it with you and see if we do need to make an exception, but otherwise, and the general policy there.
It is general policy, and bring any of those to my attention because we can work with account management to determine what's best for that customer, depending on, they may say, well, I don't want to move because it costs money. And there's a fair amount of flexibility in what we'll put together to incentivize somebody to move at this point, because we really want to get the last ones off. So definitely bring that to my attention or to Jennifer Chang's attention if you're in that situation, because we are willing to work with them to figure out what's best to move them over quickly.
Sure, great, thanks.
Okay.
Alex, I have another question.
Yeah.
I see the subject collection in support, we can access it through the main page. And this new collection, I just have a URL. I can have to log on it and then sign to the whatever publisher and then to log in. But how would publisher access it? And is there a project that you're going to link it to the main site or to the website of the publisher?
Okay, not quite getting your question.
The question, I mean, how would you get to the CCT? How you got log in it? For me to log into it, I just have a URL to log into it, and I use the password and the username that being given to us. But for like subject collection, you can access it through the main page. If you go to the main page, which is the admin center for the publisher, or what can they access it, and we can access as well in support. So how would you access the CCT without just using that URL? Is there a specific location?
So each landing page generates a static URL. You could go directly to that URL to see the collection. When you say, how can I access it, do you mean as an internal person, or how would a end user access it?
For both, I mean, for me in support, if I want to inspect an issue, I have to go just to that CCT, and then from that drop-down menu, I pick the publisher, and then I can look at the case. But for other cases, normally you just go to the website and you go to the main site, and you find they have a subject collection. That's where you can enter to the collection and see the issue.
Yeah. Well, the way you get to CCT collections is the way you've been doing it, which is logging into CCT, and that's where you will have the ability to inspect it in the greatest amount of detail. If you just want to see the collection and you have the URL to the landing page, you can go to that URL directly in your browser and see the landing page.
And for the publisher, how would they log into the CCT tool?
So the publisher has IDs to log in. That's how they set up collections. And they use the same route you do to go through CCT to maintain and add and change collections. Their end users see the collections through search and discovering the collections in the search results, or because the publisher has made the URL visible in a number of different ways. They can drive them to the URL with marketing materials. They can create advanced pages where they list the URLs of all of their collections. A number of them have done that. They've created index pages on their sites that list all their custom collections. Am I answering your question?
Is that clear? So there's not a link through the main site as there are for some other features. It's just in terms of the admin UI at cct2.highwire.org. And we also have QA and dev instances of that, Amir, for other testing. I think Michael, maybe you mentioned using QA is normally the best one for that. But yeah, in terms of the question you have, I think, Amir, it's just through that URL.
Yeah,
and
sure, that URL
link from the main site.
That's the only one, yeah. But I thought maybe they have a project to link it to the website of the publisher, but no problem. Yeah, that's just a question. Okay.
No, we have done that for some other things. So, for example, reporting for e-commerce, we generally put a link on their main site, and for some other.
Because the data supplement management, Alex, the data supplement management looks similar to the CCT, the new one, and it's linked to the main, and also you can use the URL both. That's why I was asking the question, just because CCT looked to me similar, so new development looked like new, similar to design and everything together. So
yeah, we haven't. If a publisher requested it, we probably could, but we haven't done it.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Helpful. Thank you.
Okay, so the next one of these that we do, we are going to take a more technical focus, and I think, I cannot remember which order I put them in, but I think the next one is on onboarding. So we'll have a number of the engineering staff available to ask questions, and we can go through specific examples. So,
and the flavors of onboarding would be, that's different than migration, or is it the same?
Well, we'll talk about migration from CCT1 to CCT2. We'll talk about setting up CCT2 and what some of the issues you can run into are there. So come with questions. If you have specific cases that you want to talk about, we can talk about them there as well.
Okay. And the expectation, Alex, right, is at some point support is able to bring new customers in without needing engineering or product support, right? Just to get some flavor. I mean, we'd like to have you so well trained that when salespeople are signing up new customers, you know how to bring them on board with as little friction as possible. Okay, meaning you don't have to get in the engineering line in order to do this, so you don't have to wait. So for all of you type A's, you can just take it, run, take and get the money.
Joe might be the only type A amongst us, but yes, the hope
waiting in lines, but that's what my dream is. That you can just do it without needing engineering support.
We will reduce your dependence on engineering. That is the hope. Yeah, where there'll still be some things that support can't do, probably, yes, there will be. But our hope by doing all of these sessions is to raise the level of knowledge in professional services and support, and to make you more independent so that you don't need to wait for engineering to answer questions.
However, when you hit gaps and bugs, we're here for you.
Yes.
Excellent. Yeah, I absolutely, we want to decrease the dependency on engineering. I just want to make the distinction, Joe, that for onboarding, that would rest with professional services. And then once a publisher has been onboarded, and perhaps if help is needed in sort of testing while onboarding, then that would be handed over to support the publisher as they use the product.
So the reason I want support to talk about onboarding as well as professional services is if things are not done correctly in the onboarding process, it will end up with support. So it's important to understand where something could be configured incorrectly and will come back as a support case.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we do definitely want to be involved in that as well. So we, as you say, so we know if it's a problem with the actual way that a publisher was onboarded, and not just in a bug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Ollie. I didn't realize professional services would bring that on. So we may need to have this conversation with somebody on that side.
Well,
Maya still?
Don't.
Oh, that's the dome.
Yeah. So hopefully in the next session, we'll have folks from both professional services and support.
Gotcha. Because I know he's going to watch this recording.
I'm sure everybody will watch it.
Before next week.
Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions? If not, I will let everyone go, and I will post this recording on the wiki, and I'll let you all know where it is.
Alex, about is there going to be another meeting? Because we have some in the cases when you go to the search on the CCT for the DOI, there is 2 tabs. One is working, one is not working. So I don't know if that's been looking at or still.
If there's a specific case that you're referring to, why don't you shoot an email and let us know what case it is.
Yeah, it's not just about the case, it's about the tool, the CCT tool. The search by DOI.
Search by DOI.
Amir, I think if you can still email and provide examples, then we can take a closer look at it.
Yeah, Sam Angie was with me, helping me, and also Michael, both.
Okay.
So they might.
Okay, well, maybe Sam can provide more information offline, and we can take a look at it.
Okay, thanks, Alex. That's fine. That will do. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone, and I'll let you know when I have the recording posted.